y'all? It's Reggie. But before we get into anything, let's invite the Lord in. Dear Holy Spirit, I just pray that you give me the words that are of you when I read your word, Lord. Allow me to understand the context you meant and what you want me to take away and the viewer to take away from these chapters and these verses. Lord, I pray that you lead me through this training session and allow me not to get angry and just to accept any outcome that comes with it. Allow me to be disciplined not to force trades and to stick to my trading plan. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. So now that we prayed that, let's go ahead and mark our levels. So we want to do turn on our zones, mark out the last three. So this level is a swing high. Sellers are sitting here. Okay, broke, push, move, potential. As we see, it's getting reject down here, it's getting reject down here, it's getting reject down here. 1 hour. Time frame. Let's check that across. Okay, and then I would say there's a buy level. Right here. Maybe even drag that up right here. This lets me know this is our swing low. And there's heavy buyers here. Here. Or here. Pushing price up. It broke to the downside. Bearish move potential. And we'll check our swing highs, swing lows. Let me delete these. Let's see how it plays. So every time we got to this zone, it was getting pushed down. We got to this zone again, got pushed down out here. Got to this zone again, pushed down, even here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Shoot. 5 instances of it getting to the zone and pushing back. That shows me that sellers are sitting there. So since I know sellers are sitting there driving the price down, if it breaks this, we can take a call to the upside. And if it breaks out of this box, we know it's been up here. So if it breaks out of here, we can, yeah. I don't know why these are switched. Can I move? Yeah, let's do this. Okay, these are short. Okay. If it breaks out here, what we could do, put our stop loss here. This might go and break into here to consolidate. But we're looking to play this move up here. That's where it's been. So where I would do, I'll let you drop this down as soon as it breaks. And I'm taking it to this line. That's our first TP. Our second TP would be, so that's my first level I would mark. But then the second one, it's been all the way up here. I like targeting the highest TPs, but having these as levels, like, okay, boom. So I'm just going to set myself up for when it happens, you know. If it does break to the upside. All good, Ankit. All good, brother. Okay, so that's the first level. Now, our second level, I'm just marking up my charts right now. This would be third level. Second level. So I'm marking up my charts on a higher time frame. So when we see this breakout, I know where to take profit at. Here, let me do this. Bro, best broker for trade? What do you? I'm confused. What is a broker? Or are you talking about brokerage? What up, Avish? How you doing, bro? But Ankit, are you talking about like brokerage or for trade? I need you to explain that a little better because I don't know what we're talking about right now. I don't want to assume like I know what you're talking about when I don't, you know. And then we're gonna see right here. How you doing, brother? Avish, how you doing? Bro, best broker for trade application. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm kind of confused what you're talking about. Not gonna lie. I ain't gonna say you just yapping. Appreciate you for the love, but I just don't know. You are OP. I appreciate that, bro. So now we have our levels marked. If it breaks out of here, we know, okay, it's been here. It's also the next level is here. So then what we can do is put our take profit. We can do this. We'll have our stop loss there, and we can have it all the way up here and knowing it's been here. And then just ride it to the upside. Buy slash out, yeah. So that's where we would take it. Okay, let me try to piece. Bro, best broker for trade application, buy slash sell. Yeah, I'm still confused. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. And kid, I need you to explain that a little bit better. What you're trying to say, like in one word, not like pieces. If like yeah. Hey, no, you ain't gotta be rude, bro. You ain't gotta be rude. Let's keep it respectful. Okay, so then what we want to see is if it breaks out of this, we know it's bullish potential. So put our stop loss there. We ride this down to all the way here. Mark this. What time is it in your country? Right now it's 6:07 a.m. where I stay. So I'll make this red so it stands out for me. Mm. Actually, I might. Oh, oh, they are buds. That's what's up. All right, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, okay, and then this is where price has been 1 hour. Hmm. I appreciate it, man. Where price has been, um, let's say this would be third level of take profit of TP. I just mark my levels so I don't have to consistently just keep watching after these charts because I ain't gonna lie. It's definitely tedious to do that. Boom. This is the second level. And let's do this. This will be first. Bro, guess my age? Um, I can't really see your profile picture too well, but if I had to assume, probably like 15 to 18 range. I'm gonna shoot a shot at 17. Let's go with 17. Let's go with that. Alright, so let's also react to. Let me know if I'm right. You can't gatekeep if I'm right or not. I ain't gonna lie. Now I'm invested. So we see buyer. Oh, here, let me. So we see buyers pushing the price up there. Even now we're seeing it live. One occurrence there. We see broken here. It went up. Nice guess at 16. Hey, you know, what can I say? What can I say? You know. So now we have five occurrences of price playing, having showing signs of high buyers here. That's what's up, bro. So these EMAs crossing up here. They just crossed. This shows me it's about to try to go to the downtrend. So if we break out of here, this is the first level of TP we're going to target, and then we're going to go all the way here. So what I'm going to do, I like putting levels on top of these because sometimes I don't know why these don't be going off, but what I do, put a box here, and I'm gonna make this green. Bullish entry, buy entry. Sell entry. Bro, ignore these haters. You're up. Oh, I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, I don't let the hate get to me, bro. People going like what I realize is a lot of haters, bro, don't be having nothing going for themselves, and that's why they be hating, bro. Because how you doing, Ben? Sheik. How you doing? I hope I said that wrong. If I didn't, please tell me how to say that. But that's why, yeah, I'd never let people get to me. To, yeah, I never let people get to me because what I realize is if you let people like if it affects you what people say when you're doing like when they're elevating you as far as like oh if that's like something that you look for and you're like oh well if someone says I'm doing good that's ultimately what matters, right? With the same way that lifted you up is when they say negativity is going. You just got a new subscriber. I appreciate that. Appreciate you for subbing. That means a lot. Hold on, I got my sub goal. Let's see if it updates. Why? Hold on, I'm some. My, I don't know why I didn't show my alert. My alert's supposed to show up in the corner. I don't know why I didn't do that. It's kind of annoying. I guess I don't know if it doesn't do it for subs during the live, but that really wouldn't make sense to me. But I'm gonna try to fix this. Let me see. Moderator settings. Okay, show me it. Why are you black? Like, are you talking about my skin color? What? Or was it like a black screen? Uh, I'm a hope it was just a black screen that popped up or something. um, because if you're talking about my skin color, that's how God made me. You know, I can't really, you know, change that. So, and I'm thankful to be how He made me. So, but yeah, I don't really know how else to enter. is marked up very well. I like this. We have our alert set. We know what we're going to enter. And until it gets there, we just go on. So, sorry, bro. You're all good, bro. I'm gonna use the bathroom. I'll be back. Yeah, give me some time. So, I'll be back.
What in the world?
Dang, it's kind of cold in my room. Alright. Let's upload it. Boom, boom. Wow. So, let's get into the word, shall we? So, today we're on Joshua. Yeah, I believe it's verse chapter 14. No, it's chapter 15. Okay, let's get into it. It says, "This then was the lot of the tribe of the children of Judah by their families, even to the border of Edom, wilderness of Zin. Southwards was the uttermost part of the south coast. And their south border was from the shore of the salt sea, from the bay that looked southward." So we're seeing God show them the land that He's giving them. Like, so now God is splitting up the land that they have captured through Joshua, and He's divvying it up so everyone has equal footing. So we see God is just with that, and we see He's faithful, because what did He tell the Israelite people? That I will surely give you this land. So when He said He would give them their land, He gave them the land. It wasn't a thought if He was going to come through. He came through, because that is the God we serve. When God says something's going to happen, it will happen. So have faith. It's like, for example, with the trading, how this applies to me. I feel like for the trading, I mark my levels. I have set alerts for when I should enter, and it's like, okay, it breaks out of here, I'm gonna take a buy, I'm gonna write it to this, and these are my levels to take profit. So that's where I'm gonna drag my stop loss to there. Okay, boom, 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 check marks. If it sells and breaks under this line, I'm gonna put my take profit at this line, and I'm gonna have checkpoints to hit. So it's like letting the market decide. It's not trying to overtrade. Don't try to force trades. At the end of the day, the market will show you where it's going. And what I realize is it's already kind of showed us where it's playing. You just gotta look at the market structure. So we see higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high, higher low. But notice it was a higher low here, and it was still in the uptrend. So this shows me it could still go. But notice it makes a lower high again. So now that's, once I see this this lower high, and I see it doesn't make a new higher high, I know, okay, this is showing me the market's now breaking that structure, the market structure. So now what do we see? A lower high. Now we see a lower low. This shows me that it's starting downtrend patterns. So the sell is more likely to me. So now what do we see? A lower high. This shows me the market is looking to go down, because it showed me that there was a trend switch. We go to the higher time frame. So we see the 1 hour is bullish right now. Let's see what the 4 hour is doing, because the higher time frames are more accurate. These are how I see the trends of the market. I don't look at the lower time frames to see the overall trend of the market. So we see it was higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower high, higher low, higher high, lower low. So now we see this is showing bearish movement too. So what I can expect is a lower high and then a push to the downside, breaking this bar. But to continue on this downtrend, has to break here. So that's what we're looking for. Drop down back to the 4 hour. The 1 hour. So I truly think today's going to be a sell, especially as this wick is testing these higher values, but getting pushed down. So that's what we're looking for. But let's get back to the word. It said, "From thence it passed from Erzamon and went out unto the river of Egypt, and the goings out of that coast were at the sea. This shall be your south coast, and the east border was the salt sea, even unto the end of the Jordan. And their border in the north quarter was from the bay of the sea at the uttermost part of the Jordan, and the border went up to Bethel Holega, and passed along by the north of Bath Arabah. And the border went up to the stone of Boaz the son of Reuben, and the border went up towards Deber from the valley of Archer, and so northward, looking towards Gilgad, that is, before going up to the Adamon, which is on the south side of the river. And the border passed towards the waters of Enish, and the goings out thereof were of Enrogel. And the border went up by the south valley, by the valley of the son of Hinnom, unto the south side of the Jebusite. The same is Jerusalem. The border went up to the top of the mountain that lieth before the valley of Hinnom, westward, which is at the end of the valley of the giants northward. And the border was drawn from the top of the hill unto the fountain of the water of Nephtah, and went out to the cities of Mount Ephraim. And the border was drawn to Baalah, which is Kiriath. So we see right now that God is showing us how the land is being distributed, how abundant the land is. I think why he emphasizes the borders is it shows the range of the blessing God gave them. He didn't give them a small blessing that was like, oh, he didn't give them something small that was like, dang, this is, well, it's land, but it's barely anything. No, he gave each tribe abundance of land where they could literally thrive. And I love how it's going through each tribe and telling them how much land he provided. And that should bring you comfort to realize when God is providing your blessings, realize that God wants to give you abundance. God doesn't look for you to have a small blessing where it's just going to be getting you by. Like, sometimes what I realize is that what we see with God's character is that when he wants to bless us with abundance, he will have us go through adversity. So to see if our heart's ready, because I feel like when we meet adversity, we have a chance to either turn to God and be like, God, how are you growing me in this situation? Or we can get angry at God and be like, God, why am I going through this? And I realize that times we get angry, it's because we have a certain perspective of how we think certain things should go. And what I sometimes have been surrendering to the Lord is just the outcome. Like, ultimately, God, you are in control. So whatever I need to go through for like character development or go through to build me up for my blessing, I'm okay with it. It's like I don't have my ups and downs with trading. I don't experience streaming and experience backlash when I lose. But it's like it's not going to stop me from streaming because I know this is something God's called me to do. It's like breaking down this word. I love reading the word of God because it pours into you. It speaks life into you. So it's like that's why we do it. It's not for the blessings, but realize blessings come when you walk with the Lord, because having him is already a blessing. So anything else he gives you on top of that is a further blessing. So rejoice in that. Have joy in that. It says, and a border can pass from Baalah westward onto Mount Seir, and pass along with the side of Mount Jearim, which is Chesalon, on the north side, and went down to Bethshema, and passed on to Timnah. And the border went out on the side of Ekron northward, and the border was drawn to Shikron, and passed along to Mount Baalah, and went out unto Jabneel. And the goings out of the border were at the sea, and the west border was the great sea, and the coast thereof. This is the coast of the children of Judah round about according to their families. So once again, these next couple of chapters are just explaining the land that he gave to the people. It says, and unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh he gave a part among the children of Judah, according to the commandment of the Lord, according of the Lord to Joshua, even the city of Arabah, the father of Anak, which city is Hebron. And Caleb drove thence the 3 sons of Anak, Shishai, Amahaman, Telamah, the children of Anak. And he went up thence to the inhabitants of Dibber. The name of Dibber before was Kirjath Scepter. And Caleb said, he that smiteth Kishar Jephthah taketh it, and to him will I give Asher my daughter to wife. And Othniel the son of Kezar, the brother of Caleb, took it, and he gave Asher his daughter to wife. And it came to pass, as she came to him, that she moved to ask her father a field, and she lightened off her ass. And Caleb said unto her, what wouldest thou? And he who answered, give me a blessing, for thou hast given me a south land. Give me also springs of water. He gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. What I realize we can learn from that mini passage of Caleb is just that if we don't ask, we will never receive our blessing. Meaning, if you don't ask for the things that, like, if you don't ask the hard questions as far as, you don't know if when you ask for a blessing, if you're going to receive it. But have the faith to be like, it's worth asking. Something that, like, motivates me is, if I never started trading and God already told me this is going to change my life, how would I be stepping out in faith if I'm staying in my comfort zone, if I'm using the strats that's not working, if I'm listening to what people say in my chat, oh, you're a bad trader, this. But I show up every day because I know that this is going to change my life because I trust God over what I see. Even though I don't see myself necessarily making crazy progression, I don't see what God had me focus on is not focusing on the money, but learning the skill. Now I'm knowing, okay, when this breaks out one way or another, I know where it's going because the market has showed me. I'm not trying to guess and assume. That's why I'm not trading during this because this is unpredictable. Between these lines is unpredictable. But when it breaks out one way or another, I know exactly where it's going. That is because I've seen it time and time again. We see what's pushing the price up right here is the buyer sitting here. But the fact that it's wicking shows me, okay, boom, it's probably getting shot down. Also, what I see right here is I see a high, I see a downtrend. So we seen up, right? We see this was a higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high, higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high. This shows me that this is trying to form a new lower low. So what we need to see to make a lower low is it has to be lower than this. So that's why I think it's wicky and testing out here because now it's going to form over here and break. But it's a 1 hour time frame. So realize that just because it's up right now, it just shows that it's bulls trying to push the price up. It doesn't mean that they're going to hold it. So what I truly believe is that I'm going to have a sell entry after this candle, jump in on the sell and ride it to the downside. And I'll probably still be on this trade after I get off stream. But it's just checkpointing, taking my profits where my profit shows up and being consistent and trusting that. It's like I got faith that it's going to work. But until then, I'm in my word. Like, stay grounded. That's why I say trading with Jesus because Jesus is my foundation. Jesus is who I'm trusting in. Like my shirt says powered by Jesus. That's not a coincidence. Like I truly know I'm powered by Jesus. I'm empowered to do all things he calls me to do and step out in faith. Because I know that at the end of the day, yeah, it might not be easy initially. Like everything in life isn't easy. Like nothing that you want in life is going to be easy to obtain in that moment. And I realize a lot of people assume that your blessing is going to be easy to achieve. That your blessing isn't going to go through ups and downs. But if you have a blessing, and we see this in the time and time again, God is blessing the people with abundance of a land. But what did they have to go through to get that land? They had to go through trial and tribulation. They had to go through many times where everything around them was like the circumstances didn't look ideal. There was giants around them. There was adversity, but God delivered them all. And now we're seeing how they're reaping the benefits of all this. It says, this is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah according to their families. And the uttermost cities of the tribe of the children of Judah towards the coast of Edom southward were Cabel, Eder, Jeger, Kina, Demara, Ada, Kadesh, Hazar, Itzanah, Ziph, Telem, and Baluth. And Hazar, Hadareth, Keref, Hezron, which is Hazar. Amma, Shema, Maloda, and Mazar, Gada, and Heshbon, and Beth Palet, Hazar Shual, and Beersheba, and Bezerjah, Balaam, and Eam, and Azum, and Elatad, and Chezel, and Herah, and Zilkalai, Medama, Senas, Lebanon, Silashim, and Rimmah. All the cities are 29 with their villages. Buy gold and silver, that's not what I trade personally, so I will not be doing that. Feel free to trade what you want to trade, but personally, I trade NQ, so that's what I'm going to stick to, no matter what anybody in chat says, respectfully. So, yeah. Back to where I was. And all the cities are 29 with their villages. In the valley, Eshtal, Zeraph, and Anish, and Zono, and Engai, and Timnah, and Jermeth, and Adullah, Silcom, and Azia, and Shuram, Adura, Jitera, Jidam, 14 cities with their villages. Zina, and Hadish, Megiddo, and Dela, Mizpah, and Joachith. Lachish, and Bakaf, and Elga, and Kaba, and Lanas, and Kalish, and Gijaf, and Dagan, and Namath, and Mekada, 16 cities with their villages. So we're seeing that God is showing the inheritance that he has given these people. It says Lebanon and Esther and Ashan and Jemetha, Asheron, Nezerah, and Kizelah and Azurah and Machir. None of these cities with their villages. Ekron with her towns and her villages, and Ekron even unto the sea, all that lay near Ashdod with their villages. Ashdod were her towns and her villages. Gaza were her towns and her villages, unto the river of Egypt and the great sea and the border thereof. And in the mountains Shamir and Judaph and Succoth, and Danaph and Kerah which is Deborah, and Adaba and Shmoth, Enam, Jesher and Holon and Gilath, 11 cities with their villages. Arab and Duma and Ishan and Junoth and Beta Taba and Apaki, and Hamata and Jerah Abba, which is Hebron, and Zerah, 9 cities with their villages. Moab, Carmel, Zepha, Judaph, and Jezreel, Jokina, Zunoth, Cain, Jabiah, Temanoth, 10 cities with their villages. Hala, Bezer, and Jeter, and Merimoth, and Beshanoth, and Esra, 6 cities with their villages. Keredroth Baal, Jeram, and Rabbah, 2 cities with their villages. In the wilderness, Baruth, Midah, and Sikah, and Nabashah, the city of salt, and Enged, 6 cities with their villages. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Judah could not drive them out, but the Jebusites dwelt with the children of Judah at Jerusalem unto this day. It's an important context to note that it says the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, like the people that were in Jerusalem before the Israelite people, it says they couldn't drive them out. What does this tell me? It tells me the first sign of Israel's disobedience. Because God had told them every time they conquer land to destroy everyone that was there and build like a new foundation. This is the first occurrence where we see that it says that they couldn't drive them out. So what I notice is that when it's talking about this throughout this whole passage, it never says that they called on the Lord. So what I realize is there was a point and there shows a shift like that I'm seeing by just how God allowed it to be worded, is where the people stop relying on God as far as they stop being like, Lord, help us deliver these people, calling on the name of Jesus, and they kind of let it rock like, oh God, it's all good, like God Almighty, Jehovah, like I know you did it before, but right now we don't need you to do it. We could just dwell among these people. It shows that they were settling with compromise. God said destroy these people, and instead they're like, well, we can conquer these people. We can live with these people. But why did God want them to destroy them? Because he knew they would lead them away. So sometimes God will tell us to avoid certain situations, because sometimes God will tell us to avoid certain people or remove certain people from our life, not to hold a place of anger or grudge against them, but because he sees what the negative consequences these people might bring to you later on. Maybe they're envious people that will keep speaking negativity over you so that you never walk in the blessing you have or you never step out in faith. Maybe they're people that are holding you back from old mindsets. Oh, you don't think you could do this. Like, if people around you don't believe in goals, you're probably not supposed to be around those people. And when I say people around you, I'm talking about your inner circle. People around you, like, bro, there's so many people that I know that told me I would never be a successful YouTuber when I was at 100 just uploading every day. Now fast forward, it's at 6.3K. Everyone's like, oh, Reggie, like that's so cool, all this stuff. But I remember how many people hate it. So it's like I don't let that love now affect it, because at the end of the day, I remember how people moved when I was down. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even like I was down as far as like mentally or physically. It was like my channel views and stuff were down. But what I realized is I didn't let that define me. So now when it's going up, it doesn't define me now. It's like I was the most prideful when I hit like when I was under 1,000, because I started looking at my number. Look how far I've came. But now it's like I realize it's the Lord moving according to His timing. Because when I first started making these videos, like videos on the Lord, God was telling me like it's going to blow up. Just keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's going to have a very strong impact. You just got to keep being consistent. And I did. And now I'm seeing the fruits of it. So it's just like God answering on His promises. God is faithful. If God tells you something like, hey, this is going to come to fruition, believe Him. Don't lack faith and be like, what if it doesn't? It's like, what if it does? Like, that's my mindset. Every time I feel fear, like, oh, what if this outcome comes? What if it doesn't, though? Like, you know what I'm saying? What if the best outcome comes? And it normally outweighs it and makes me want to step out more in faith. And I want to touch on, like, how it took no faith for them to compromise.
But it takes all the faith to be like, okay, God says these people are going to lead me away from it. I'm going to believe him. So I'm going to drive these people out. And I realize, like, in our lives, if we had more faith in God, we would not worry. Like, for me, I'm not checking the charts consistently. Like, right now, just being, oh, I got to see what it's doing. I'm waiting for the breakout. When the breakout comes, I'm jumping in because that shows me the trend is there. And what I'm looking for is a sell. It's like if it wasn't wicked up here, I could be assuming it was going to be a buy. But because it's not wicked down there, it shows me it's going to be a sell entry, and I'm going to ride it for a 1 to 2, like a 1 to 10 ratio, and I'm a hit because I know I don't waited for it to make its move. I haven't rushed it. I've been trusting it, and I realized, like, bro, the same way we have faith in the worst outcomes coming to fruition, which is fear and anxiety stems from, we need to have faith in God that he's going to bring our promises and our wishes to fruition. And that's how I'm moving, bro. Like, I realize life is perspective. Whatever you choose to glorify, whatever you choose to think matters the most is what's going to determine your happiness. I choose to value Jesus the most in my life, so I involve him in everything I do. I am thankful for just having a relationship with him, so it's like I don't really care what people say. I don't really care what happens in my life because ultimately he's in control. He's a director. He's the author and the finisher of our faith. Realize he authored when we were going to find him. He authored when we would walk in the calling he had for us. And he finished it as far as he knows when our story ends. He knows when our purpose is done. So it's like every day he wakes me up, he has a purpose for me. So I just ask him, let your purpose shine through me, Lord. And that's where I have peace with it. At verse 16 it says, and the lot of the children of Joseph fell from Jordan from Jericho onto the water of Jericho on the east, to the wilderness that goeth from Jericho throughout Mount Bethel, and goeth from Bethel to Luz, and passeth along unto the borders of Asher and to Aroth, and goeth down westward to the coast of Jephthah, unto the coast of Beth Horon, and the nether, and to the Jeshurun, and the goings out thereof are at the sea. So the children of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim took their inheritance. So we see abundance of land that's offered, like available at this time. And what does it say? It says they took this land because they took it because this was their inheritance. I appreciate you, the Lab Zot, for subscribing. I appreciate that. Thank you for subbing. But what we see here is that they're claiming their blessing. That God shows them its abundance and they claim it. Notice how the people aren't arguing for what land they should have because they realize God is abundant. So if these people took this land, there's something for me too because God doesn't run out of blessings. And I realize when you start realizing God doesn't run out of blessing, you don't start thinking you need to receive a certain blessing at a certain time. You realize, okay, I'm going to receive the blessings that are for me on his timing. And that's something I've learned to rejoice in. And it continues. It says, and the border of the children of Ephraim according to the families was thus. Even the border of their inheritance on the east side of Epher Adar, unto Beth Horon the upper. And the border went out towards the sea to Michamata on the north side. And the border went out eastward to Tanah of Selah, and passed it by the side to Junoth. And it went down from Junoth to Aroth and to Nereth, and came to Jericho, and went out at Jordan. The border went out Tipperah westward unto Cana, and the going out there were at the sea. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Ephraim by their families. And the separate cities for the children of Ephraim were among the inheritance of the children of Manasseh, all the cities with their villages. And they drave not out the Canaanites that dwell in Jeshurun, but the Canaanites dwell among the Ephraimites unto this day, and serve under tribute. Realize this is the second time. So now we see God has given two tribes land. But what do we keep seeing now? First, we seen that in Jerusalem that they let the Jebusites live, and the children of Judah let the Jebusites then drive them out, so that they were settling with compromise. Now we see this second nation, which is like where it says, but they did not drive out the Canaanites, but the Canaanites dwell among them under tribute. So why did they choose to keep them? They chose to keep them as servants to profit off them instead of listening to what God said as far as drive them off because they're going to lead you farther away from me. So that's two instances of compromise. And I realize that a lot of times we let this go over our heads, but compromise literally destroys our blessing because you don't see what God sees. You don't realize why God is calling you out of certain things and why he's telling you to stop certain things. But what I realize is that when you realize that God does not make mistakes, you realize, okay, I can trust that God knows what he's talking about. So I'm going to trust what he says over what I feel or what I think. And when you move like that, you're like, okay, I know that God's character is faithful. So I can trust what he says. I can trust and have faith in his plans. So if God is telling me to drive out these people, I'm going to drive them out, because if he says they're going to lead me away from him, they're going to lead me away from him. The same way, if God tells me to remove someone from my life, I'm going to remove them, because they're not meant to be in my life for whatever reason, even if I don't understand it. And that's why I realize your job is not to understand God, but to accept what God says and trust his word over how you feel and how you think. Because if God told you you were saved, why do you question if you're saved? Because you look to yourself. But what I realize is true salvation, we realize, comes from Jesus, from what Jesus Christ did for us on the cross. So I'm not looking to myself. I'm looking to an all-powerful God that did all things, that can continue to do all things. And I realize God is doing a powerful work in me and has already rebuilt me and made me a new creation. So I don't have to do the things I used to do. I don't have to struggle with the things I used to struggle. But I have to realize I'm a new creation and walk in that newness of life. Real talk, like, bro, I feel like a lot of people really like overthink their walk with Jesus. Like, bro, God is literally so good that he's going to give you everything you need to succeed. It's like a perfect example. What did I say I thought the market was going to do? I thought it was going to, what's it called? I believe it's going on a sell. Even though right now this is green, this is a good sign for me, because what do I see? I see for the sell entry down here, I see a higher low. Right? It was a higher low than this low. And then it forms a lower high. So this already shows me now it's on a downtrend. Then it forms a higher low. So it's like, okay, we might have some movement to the upside. But look, we see a lower high again. So now it's showing me it's continuing this downtrend. Now what do we see? A lower low. Then we see it build up. Okay. Now, what do we see? A lower high. Okay. A higher low. And now we're going to see what this does. So it could form, if this high is still like even right here, and this where it breaks, that's a stronger sign that it's going to go downhill, right down here. But if it breaks here, we know it's going, since sellers are sitting here, we know that it's not just going to break through here. It's going to have a little bit of pullback and to go. You know what I'm saying? And since this is a 1 hour, we might not show it. It might not show here, but we know right now, see, it's getting fought down. It's because the sellers are pushing it there. So this once again shows me it's a strong buy. I mean, a strong sell zone. So if it does break here, we can know that, okay, it's going to stay above here because it fought to get here. That means it had enough volume to push out from here. So we can take buys if it breaks this. But if it doesn't hold at this line, this is still lower low. So even if it comes up here, this is still, we're looking for this to form a lower high if it's still in a downtrend. So the fact that it's already wicking here shows me, it's trying to show me like I tried to get up here, I don't have enough volume to get here. So either I have to pull down to get some liquidity to be able to build up and break, or I have to go down. That's what the wick show. Wick show, it tried to test these prices. Notice it tested all the way up here. It got rejected. So what happened? It pulled down to that, make that new low, right? And then what happened? It got momentum, broke this. Now it's showing me it's testing up here. It's not breaking it yet. So this is what we see on the 1 hour. Let's drop to the higher time frame, because the higher time frames are going to show us the moves. So on 1 hour is still on a downtrend. On this higher time frame, let's see. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher. It's a lower high right now. So it's still showing me there. But the 4 hour shows me right now it's at a point where, since this formed a lower high, if this forms a higher high, we could still have bullish potential above this line. If it breaks under though, and it forms this lower high, we know, okay, it's still going to go down. So we're just waiting. That's why I have these levels, and I'm so confident that if it breaks these levels, because what's happening here, it's still getting shot down. Here, let me delete this so you see. It's still, notice how it keeps wicking. It goes higher, wicks. It goes higher, wicks. That shows me that something's pushing the price. What's pushing the price? Sellers sitting at this level. We've seen it here. Push down, push down. These are not just random patterns. What shows it here? Buyers pushing the price up, pushing the price up, pushing the price up. So if it breaks one of these levels at the top or at the bottom, it lets me know, okay, that's showing me the market has enough volume to make a move now. And these aren't low volume plays. What was this at? This is here, let me see. This was a 70K volume candle. So it shows me it was a strong move to the upside. But the same way it makes a strong move to the upside, let's just look back here. Look at what it did in the past. It made strong moves to the upside, try to break, tested above, and shot down. So it's like it has to hold above. You know what I'm saying? But look, that was part of the pattern it was following that. So now, as you see, we're trying to make this pattern again. It's got to break this and hold. Like I said, if it forms above, it's breaking out of this pattern. But if it stays right here, because this is where the previous high was, if it doesn't break this level, right, it's not. It's continuing that pattern. It's not continuing that pattern. Because this is our highest high right now. So if it breaks this, this was our previous high. It shows me it might be switching to uptrend. So you gotta let the market show you what it wants to do. Because the market is not random. I can't emphasize this. The market is not random. It will show you what it wants to do multiple times. You just gotta really pick it up and be like, okay, the market's showing me. Now what's happening is wicking. So it shows me this level right here, it can't break it yet. It doesn't have enough volume. So what does it show me? That it could pull right back. But look, it's still plenty of time on this candle, so we don't know. That's why we are reading the word while we wait. Because it's not up to me. I'm not going to try to assume I know where the market is and lose money. I will not trade. I'm going to show y'all. Between these two levels, I'm not taking any trades. Because this is no trade zone. You know why it's no trade zone? Because it's consolidating between these two, and it hasn't chose which way the trend wants to go. But if you try to, it should be like, oh, well, it's been bullish when it breaks under here, but you don't know where to mark, so you're just kind of guessing. This is all guesswork in here. But when it breaks out, we know. Okay, when it's been above here, where did it go? And went to this line. And when it broke above here, it went to this line. When it broke above here, it went to this line. That's how we're talking. Okay, when it breaks out here, it went to this line. When it broke out of here, it went to this line. Like that's real chart work. Like your chart should be that detailed where you know, because that's how you know where to put your profit. And that's why once I see an indication meaning it breaks out one way, right? And then what you looking for is when it breaks out one way, you look for the confirmation. So when I'm dropping on these higher time frames, look, it broke out here, but what did we see? It wicked here and then it pulled back. So that was showing, okay, I don't have enough momentum to actually break out of there. So what did we see? We seen the correction right here. It pulled back. Boom, boom, boom. Like, realize ICC stands for indication, correction, and then continuation. Because when you see a breakout, you can look and know, okay, this is showing me something when I drop down. If it breaks out of here, I can look, okay, that's my indication. Now I'm looking for the correction. Because once I see the correction, I know, boom. I'm not trying to trade the correction. I'm trying to wait for 100% where I know, okay, boom, this is going. So once I see that, I'm be like, okay, that's the indication. Where's my correction? Okay, it's correcting. Correction is it pulling back the other way to build volume for the big move. So I'm going to wait for it to pull back, and then I'm going to ride it to the upside or the downside, whatever one it chooses. But that's why we have to truly know what we're looking for. Just because it breaks out one does not mean it's going to keep going that way. You look for indication, you look for the correction, and then you look for the continuation. So that's what we're looking for. And then it says, there was a lot also for chapter 17. It says, there was also a lot for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was the firstborn of Joseph. To wit, Abishur, the firstborn of Manasseh, the father of Gilead, because he was a man of war. Therefore he had Gilead and Bashan. It says, there was also a lot for the rest of the families of the children of Manasseh by their families. For the children of Abizur, and for the children of Halak, and for the children of Asher, for the children of Shechem, for the children of Hefer, and for the children of Meshidamah. These were the male children of Manasseh the son of Joseph by their family. But Zillah had the son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Meshur, the son of Manasseh. He had no sons, but daughters. But these are the names of his daughters: Malana, Noah, Halgalah, Michaela, and Tirzah. And they came near before Eliezer the priest, and before Joshua the son of Nun, and before the princes, saying, the Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our brethren. Therefore, according to the commandment of the Lord, he gave them an inheritance from among their brethren of their father. And they fell 10 portions to Manasseh beside the land of Gilead and Bashan, which were on the other side of the Jordan, because the daughters of Manasseh had no inheritance among his sons, and the rest of Manasseh's son had the land of Gilead, and the coast of Manasseh was from Asher to Michmash, that lieth before Shechem, and borders went among the right path hand to the inhabitants of Inner Tibrah. So what we see is God is still distributing the land, and it shows how much land is in abundance. Like, God is giving them not a little bit of land, an abundant amount of land. And it says, because the daughters, okay, no, I read that, okay. It says at verse 8, and Manasseh had the land of Tuberah, and Tuberah on the border of Manasseh belonged to the children of Ephraim, and the coast descended onto the river of Kana, southward of the river. These cities of Ephraim are among the cities of Manasseh. The coast of Manasseh also was on the north side of the river, and the outgoings of it were at the sea. Southward it was Ephraim's, and northward it was Manasseh's, and the sea of its borders. They met together in Asher on the north, and Ishar on the east. And Manasseh had Ishar and Epher Beshin and her towns, and the inhabitants of her towns, and the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, and the inhabitants of Ender and her towns, and the inhabitants of Tunner and her towns, and the inhabitants of Megader and her towns, even 3 countries. Yet the children of Manasseh could not drive out the inhabitants of those cities, but the Canaanites will dwell in the land. Realize this is the 3rd occurrence we see of these people not driving out the inhabitants that God told them to drive out. Because he says, surely these people will leave you astray. He told them not to marry them. He told them not to intervene with these people, because he knew that these people will lead them astray. But what do we see the people do? They lack trust in God. They lack true faith in God. Why do they do this? Because it's easy to say you trust God when everything around you is going how you want it to, or it's no adversity. But I believe why they didn't drive out the people, they probably seen how the people were. They probably seen qualities. Oh, these people are bigger than us. These people number. What if we can't defeat them? It's better to just dwell in their comfort. It's comfortable to never step out of your comfort zone. Realize it's comfortable to never step out of your comfort zone. Meaning, it's easy to stay where you are. Stay stagnant. Stay be like, oh, well, boom, boom, boom. Play it safe. It's easy to do that. But you're not going to change your life off playing it safe. Because there's going to be a point in your life where God's going to call you to step out in faith, because he wants to do something extraordinary. He wants to bless you in an extraordinary way. And I realize for me, I truly believe and know for sure God is doing this with me with trading. He's teaching me, because it's building me up as a man. It's making me have discipline. It's making me have the discipline to watch charts and know, okay, if it breaks this level, I'm going to take this. I have to be disciplined for that. And what I realized is that it's easy to say you trust God when everything goes your way. It's hard to truly trust God when things are going different than you expected. For example, in my mind, I would already be up bands. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, God, if this is something you want me to do, why is it not in, you know? But what I realized is God said, don't focus on the money. Don't let the money determine if you think that it was a good day or not. Don't let the money dictate like how you view yourself as a trader. Another thing is like just streaming. Bro, yesterday I lost a trade And the amount of backlash I got, it was like, dang, bro, for just showing y'all a live thing. But it's the same thing. It's like, bro, if people can tear you down, if you put people on a pedestal where people can tear you down when things when things don't go your way, if they can tear you down, that same you're giving too much power to people. And I realized today someone said they subscribed to me, right? Mind you, I didn't see the alert go off, so I didn't really believe they subscribed. But the next question they asked me, why are you black? Like, that's something I can control. That's how God made me. And the thing is, I'm not ashamed to be black. I'm not angry at being black. I'm very thankful of how God made me. But I realize, there's so many people and what I realize is Satan sometimes uses people to try to ruin your mood, to make you angry. And I realize, bro, there's nothing to be mad about. There's nothing what did that really do for me or do to me? Nothing. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It does not matter what people think. It doesn't matter how they feel about you. It matters what God says about you. If God calls you healed and redeemed, that is a glorious thing. It's like, now I'm going to eat some pizza. And finishing the chapter off, it says, And the children of Joseph spake unto Joshua, saying, Why hast thou given me one lot and one portion to heir, seeing I am a great people? For as much as the Lord hath blessed me hitherto. And Joshua answered, If thou be a great people, then thee up to the wood country, and cut down for thyself there in the land of Pizerites and of the giants, and Mount Ephraim be too narrow for thee. And the children of Joseph said, The hill is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites that dwell in the land of the valley have chariots of iron, both they who are Bethshean and her towns, and they who are the valley of Jezreel. And Joshua spake unto the house of Joseph, saying, Thou art a great people and hast great power. Thou shalt not have one lot only, but the mountain shall be thine, for it is wood. And thou shalt cut it down, and the goings of it shall be thine. For thou shalt drive out the Canaanites, and though they have irons and chariots, though that they be strong. He's saying, realize that you have great power, and that great power is found not within yourself, but within the Lord. Realizing, your strength comes from Him. So it's if God is for you, how can you lose? And I realize, a lot of people do not have this mindset, oh, if God is for me, I can't lose. It's we have the mindset, oh, my challenges look too hard. It's overwhelming to me, so God can't do anything about it. So instead of praying, we just rather complain about it and just assume the worst, just take a L and just sit and dwell in that. And I hate self-pity, bro. That's something I hate that I used to do. And just be oh, this, bro, God did not make you for you to sit in self-pity and not step out and pray, bro. If you're worried about something, pray about it. Give it to God and step forward, bro. Because at the end of the day, all fear does is keep you from walking in whatever you're supposed to do. Because I realize that whenever you feel fear, it's a moment to cower down, or it's a moment to step up and have faith that, okay, God is going to work it out. Yeah, I'm fearful in this moment, but Lord, I trust your word over how I feel. So give me the strength to keep moving forward and see your goodness in it. Bro, that's true faith. It takes no faith to lay down and just cry. And it's cool if you lay down and cry to God, but a lot of people just lay down and cry and just get mad at their situation and never do anything to change about it. Prayer changes everything. And that's why it says in Philippians 4:6, it says, pray about being anxious for nothing, but through prayer and supplication, make all your requests known to God. God does not say that so you can just try to fight your own battles. Like, no, give it to him. Trust that God got you. And when you realize that you're not going to worry about things you can't control, because there's a lot of things in life we cannot control. A lot of things. But it's like, what are you going to choose to worship? Are you going to worship your problems, or are you going to worship God? Are you going to pray to that? Are you going to cower and be like, dang, God, how is this going to work out? Are you going to have faith? Like, okay, God, I prayed about it. I gave it to you. Your outcome will be done. Like, that's how we got to step out. And I realize, like, a lot of people don't have that mindset, and that's why a lot of people struggle with the same things over and over and over again. It's like, if you want a different outcome, choose a different path. You can't keep walking the same path and assume you're going to go to get a different outcome. You're probably not. And then you can have no one else to blame except yourself. Because why do I keep walking the same path that wasn't leading me nowhere in the first place? And I realized, like, bro, if we asked ourselves a lot of these questions, we would not have as many problems. Like, for me, I'm a big believer in prayer, because there's a lot of things I get worried about, like trading. There's a reason I trade with Jesus and not by myself, because if I was by myself, I would worry about every little thing. But what if it breaks above this and then it doesn't do the correction, and bro, have faith. That's all it takes. Have faith. That's what I do. Have faith. Thank you, Lord, for this food. That's a good reminder, 100%, bro. I think sometimes we overthink, like, life. At the end of the day, you not gain the desired outcome you wanted. You complaining about it changes nothing. But when you know that there's a God that's ultimately in control of everything that happens, you can look at your life and be like, oh, well, I'm going to make it through. Yeah, that didn't go my way, but I'll be fine. And that's something I do, bro. It's just I pray about everything, bro. And I really try to involve Jesus in everything I do, because I realize that changes everything. Like, when you step out and be like, Lord, I trust you, it's a big thing. It's not like a little thing. Okay. So now we see it broke through. I'm not jumping in. Exactly. This is more so to tell me to, like, this alert was to let me know, okay, it's explain that. Just because it broke it doesn't mean anything, right? We want to see it close above for our indicator. But for me, when I saw a reminder there, because when it hits that level, it shows me, okay, we have buyer potential. So now what I'm looking for it to do is drop down. Okay, boom, it's above. Now, since it's above, we're going to drop down to the 15. Okay. It's on an uptrend. Remember, we are looking to take buys. Here, let me just hit buy. We are looking to take our buy
2. Okay, dang, that's a lot of money on the line. Hold on. We're going to put that at the bottom of it. We're going to take our buy. We should get started, man. No, man. I don't like the entry I got in on, honestly. I'm going to take that 65 because, look, this is why I don't like the entry I got in on. Yeah, it broke above. But what I want to see, you remember how I said the correction happens? This is the same candle it broke out on. So what I really want to see, and we made money on that. I'm just trying to see, like that was $70 real quick. But what I want to show is we know right now, okay, it's built it up. But what I realize is this is the same candle. So what I want to see, ideally for a buy to this take profit, right? So for me to take my take profit to here, right? What I want to see is it hold above. So then I can put my stop my buy here and ride it to the upside knowing it's going up. But what I realize is even there I just scalped, got quick money, right? That was just an easy play to make because I already seen it just went up there. I already knew where it was going. But what I realized is, you remember how I said what we see in ICC is indication. This is the indication. Then we will see a correction, and then we see the move. So what I realized is just because it's above right now, I don't know how long it's going to stay there. So that's one of my trades I've took so far. Where is Jesus I came to see here? Well, Jesus obviously isn't in the flesh right now, but like I said, powered by Jesus. The reason why I have the discipline to wait on the church is because of Jesus. If you haven't been in the stream already, we've been reading the Word all today. We're reading Joshua, and we've read 3 chapters so far today. And the lesson we were learning, because we read Joshua chapter 14 to 17. So what we see in Joshua is that God was calling the people to be faithful. God was calling the people to trust Him. And I realized that a lot of times in our walk with God, we don't truly surrender. We don't watch and do what God says. As far as we see compromise start happening in chapter 15. And that compromise is literally so bad because compromise is literally minimizing what God has for you because you're afraid of what could happen or adversity. And that was the main point we were like looking at and taking away, is that a lot of times when we assume we know like what God wants us to do and all these things, right? We lose sight of God in it because we think, okay, it has to be ABC. It shouldn't be no adversity to get to the goal. But what we see is that any big blessing, you're going to go through adversity for it. Look at examples in the Bible. Job, he lost everything he had, and he was living for God. He lost everything because sometimes you have to go through adversity to be built up. That, like, a lot of people be like, oh, Job was blameless. Like, he was blameless before he was tested by God. But in that moment, he became, very self-righteous. Who are you, bruh? I see you first time. I mean, I'm Reggie. So, like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Let me do this because I'm not gonna lie. This is my stream and I'm not letting nobody, like, kill my vibe. So, you're gone. Like, it's that simple. I'm not gonna lie. Like, on my stream, you're not gonna, like, try to press me and do all this stuff. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If you want to support, if you want to be respectful, you can. If not, get out my stream. Like, it's that simple, bro. Like, where's Jesus, bro? I'm literally, if you've watched the stream, you know I've been talking about Jesus and inviting him in. This is why we got out, though.
You go to the 15, you see it would have reversed. And that's why I didn't like. I jumped in, made money, but what I realized is that this is still the indication being formed. So what I want to see here is I want to see it form, and then I want to see the pullback. I want to drop down so I can see the pullback, and then I'll see, okay, when is it, okay, once it pulls back, does that correction, now I can ride it to the upside. And I realize I have so many different levels to take profit to ride it to. So I'm not rushing. Like, if I see it go all the way here, once it breaks out of here and forms above, and I see a solid close up of here, I know, okay, it's going up. You know what I'm saying? But what I also know is that the market never goes, and I'm going to show you, the market never just goes straight up. It never just does this. And we see that in just watching the charts. Let's see. We see a pull down, right? Lower low, lower high, higher low. So this shows me it's on an uptrend right now, right? It could be on an uptrend potentially. It's potentially, you know why? Because for it to fully be on an uptrend, this would have been a higher high. But because this is a higher high and this is a lower high, we just see, okay, what is the market showing me? What does it say? Shows a lower high again. This shows me, okay, it can't be on the uptrend if it's still forming lower highs, right? Then what do we see? A lower low. This shows me now we are on a downtrend because we have a high, a low. A lower low from this low. We have a higher low. But just looking from this now, we have a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, or equal high, whatever you want to say. It's pretty close. Then you see a lower low. Now what do we see? A lower high, a higher low, and now we see this. This does not signal to me that it's going to go to the upside, like just from here. This shows me, okay, if we're keeping this trend, right, and we're switching to uptrend, this might be our higher high, whatever this ends up closing at. Then I can see some pullback back into this zone to form still on higher high, which means it could really pull back to like right here or whatnot, and then go to a higher high. But at the same time, if it wants to switch the pattern, it would do this. It would break here to make a lower low. It would break it down here. So that's why you need to watch what the market is doing and not try to assume. That's why I went up 70 and I just took the 70 because I realized this is still on this indication. Yeah, it's slowly building up, right? But that's still the indication. We don't trade the indication. And I realized I had to remember I don't trade it. So that was me being blessed. Hey, it went up, boom, but let me take profits because I don't know where the market is going because it has not closed. I was supposed to wait for it to close, but I got antsy as soon as I seen it making a move. But what I realized is this is why we have to be disciplined. So it's like, even if you realize like, oh, I messed up, I probably should have jumped in, bro, get out. Proper risk management. Okay, you're up profit, take it. Okay, it's $70. $70 better than losing 170. Like, so I was just being disciplined for that. But yeah, I'm eating my food. That's why we're not reading the word right now. I needed that. Absolutely needed that. Alright, I'm microwave in case I do get hungry again, though. And this is something I want to like emphasize, bro. A lot of people try to predict what the market's going to do. A lot of people. What I have learned works best is not trying to predict, okay, I think because it did high, low, like whatever, right? Like, here, I'm on market on the 4 hour, right? So, what did the market do? It was at this value, it shot up to this high. Then it started getting pulled back. This would be a low. Then what happened? It shot up to this value, higher value, right? At this a little bit lower than the arrow, but you get it. And then What happened? Has a pullback. Then what happened? Made a new high. Okay. Notice this high is, I would say, higher. It's slightly higher than this one. So this shows me, okay, this is on the uptrend. Then what happens? Equal low. And now we're forming another high. This shows me that the market is might be telling me, hey, I'm trying to go bullish. So what it's going to have to do to confirm this is it will have to pull down here. And then it goes here. Because this is the downtrend. Uptrend. Higher highs, higher lows. The market cannot move. Like for an uptrend, the market has to do boom, 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 boom to get to an uptrend. It doesn't just jump to an uptrend. For a downtrend, it has to go down, down, boom, 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 boom. So knowing that, I ain't gonna lie, this is bad drawing. This is a bad drawing, but you see it still going upwards. Like we're at higher highs. You know what I'm saying? Lower lows. Like these are all lower lows. Higher lows. That's how you know it's up. These higher highs. Higher high. Lower low. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low. Higher high, higher high, higher high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Dang. Higher low, higher low, higher low. Sorry, I'm still waking up. But once we know that, we know, okay, the market has to show me where it wants to go before it makes its move. That's why I'm not rushing. I'm up profit because even though I got in for that 70, that was a bad time to jump in. I still secured profits because I didn't get greedy. I didn't overstay my welcome. And I also seen, okay, this is not a good time for me to be in the market. So what did I do? I got out. That's all it takes, bro. So what I'm saying, right? Even if it makes a big move, right? Like people be like, oh, Reggie, you should have got in. It's on an uptrend, right? Realize it's making an indication. Okay. But I'd rather get in here, right? Like, it's a beautiful thing to be able to know, okay, it already broke this line. Well, this is definitely a strong support line then. You know what I'm saying? It's like, boom. By then, I could be like, okay, I see it broke out of this box. It's playing this line. Notice how it's two other levels of TP I can ride it to. So that would show me, okay, if I'm looking for a long, I would jump in here. Like, let's say the market closes above here and it's showing me solid like building a trend here, and it's showing me, okay, it has the rejection, it has the correction, shows a pullback into the zone, and then it's like, okay, now it's time to break out, right? The first time it breaks this zone does not matter. And that's where I should have, let me not set that reminder. Actually, I want the first one to go off. Why I set alarms here is because what I want this to do is I want it to pull back into here. Because realize, the market is not random. For it to truly be on an uptrend, it has to pull back into this line. So we have to break this line again and then break out of it. So once we see the pullback into this zone, I can know, okay, next time it breaks out, it's truly going up. Versus right now, I don't know where this is going. It could stop here. That's why I got out of that trade. But what I realize is once it pulls into here and tests here, this is the correction. This is whatever candle this is. It's going to show me this is the correction. So if it chooses to break out of here, I can know, okay, this is a good line to target. I'm going to take my profit up here. I'm going to put my stop loss at this box, at the bottom of this box, because I know it might wick down here and test in this box, but it's not going to break this box if it's on an uptrend. It really probably won't even play this box, but I'm putting my stop loss here just in case it does. And I'd rather put my entry here on the correction, on the continuation, and ride it to the upside. And realize, we have 3 lines of TPs. So what does this show me? It's each of these lines I'm taking profits at different levels. Okay, boom, it hits here. Okay, it hit my take profit. Okay, boom. Now I'm moving my stop loss here. Okay, now let's see if it hits this one. Oh, it hits this one. Move my take profit there. Boom. Like, that's how you truly trade smart. Versus if it's going to get to this downside, you know what it has to do? Here, let me delete this because I want y'all to realize, like, bro, this is why you don't just force trades. And I almost did it here because, like I said, I got baited by the indication. I was like, oh, it's good. But what I realized is, hold on, Reg, that's the indication. The indication didn't even close. Why are we jumping in? And that was the Holy Spirit convicting me. So when I say I'm trading with Jesus, God will show you what you need to fix. And for me, it was like, why are you in? You don't need to be in right now. You don't have that much evidence to know it's still going up. So why are you forcing it? And that's where I had to get out. But for it to go on a downtrend, what I need to see is, okay, boom. That's the high. It pulls back down here. Okay. Tries to test this line. But if it's on a downtrend, it probably won't even break out this line. It'll be like here. And then look. It'll make a low here. Then it'll try to make a high here. And then it'll go down here. Then it'll go here. And then eventually, it'll break out of this one. Then there's going to be a correction. Pulling back still here. And then it's going there. So these are indicators that we need to see to know where the market's going. So for it to be a bearish market now, it would need to form lower highs and lower lows. For it to continue on an uptrend, it still has to pull back here. But now, so this is a downtrend, what it needs to do to go bearish. But to continue this bullish move, what it needs to do, it needs to pull in here somewhere in this zone to make a new low, a higher low, right? Then it needs to go out this box. That's why this is the indication showing, okay, I'm trying to get out this zone. Then it's going to be a correction where it pulls back into here to test. That correction is going to show us, are we continuing bullish? Are we going to make a higher low? Or are we breaking under this low and potentially switching the market to go bearish? And then we do the same thing. So we're not just assuming we know where the market is. You're waiting for the market to show you where it wants to go. Because the market will show you. You just got to be patient. So I probably won't see that for another 3 hours. But that's why I have alerts that I'm going to set. That's why you check the chart and have alerts and know what the market needs to do for you to see that. So, yeah. This is a good indication, though, that it wants to go to the upside. But once again, we do not jump in on indication. We do not trade the indication. And I ain't gonna lie, that's like a big thing, too, is that we do not trade the indication. And I almost traded the indication. Well, I did trade the indication. But I realized, like, dang, that's dumb. Because the indication could go wherever. So this is the indication of the breakout. We do not trade this. This shows us, okay, so ICC here, I want to explain ICC to y'all. So, put y'all into some sauce. ICC equals indication, correction, and continuation. So, trading ICC, right? I want to trade the continuation. I don't want to trade the correction. You can't. Some people trade the correction. You can trade the correction, but for right now, I'd rather trade the continuation because I already have my levels marked for when the continuation happens. So we're not looking to trade either one of these. I'm looking to trade continuation. So the indication is when this breaks out that box. That's why that first alarm set. Because I have an alert set because I want to know, okay, boom. Like for this here, instead of let me change this message to myself. This is the indication. So this indication shows, okay, the market wants to break out of this box. But notice, the market cannot break structure. It typically doesn't break structure on higher time frames. So what you see here is high. Bro, why did I just mess that up? Hold on. We see a high, a higher low, lower high, higher low, higher high, lower high. Lower low. Notice the lower low. So this shows it might be on a downtrend. But what happens? It builds up. Okay. Lower high still. Higher low. This is higher low. Then it goes up here to make a higher high. This shows me the market might be trying to show me it's going. But still, to continue the uptrend, what will have to happen? It needs to break into this box, aka the continuation. Because what is this? This is going bullish. I mean bearish. This is going bullish. So what we need to see? A continuation. A correction, which would be the opposite, pulling down into this box to make this higher low, which would be somewhere in here, to break out of this again. So the second time it breaks out of that, to make the continuation happen. And that's true for each trend. The market does not just break out. Like, you'll never just see the market do this. It never will just go like to the moon. It's never just going to do that. So once you know the patterns, you can read it and be like, okay, well, this is the indication. Now I'm waiting for correction. Okay, the pullback is correction. Versus if you jumped in, look, you would have been like, oh, I made money, like I'm good, but you don't know where to take profit. You don't know where it's gonna go because once again, you see these wicks, it's not consistent. Like, yeah, it's a move, but at the end of the day, did you know this move was gonna happen? No, you didn't. You don't know where it's gonna end because once again, this is the first time it broke out of this. It's not that strong because it's a continuation. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's what we're watching for. Alright, let's get back to the word. Because ain't nothing to trade right now. Sometimes we look at the charts and we get so trade happy that we're like, yeah, I gotta take it, bro. No. That's why it's important. Like, hence why the title is Trading with Jesus, because he has helped me break out of the feeling like I need to force trades. The feelings like I have to be in right now. That is FOMO. FOMO is the fear of missing out. Fear of missing out. That is what a lot of the market will take. Because once you see this close, and we're going to see it at 8 before I end the stream. At 8, you're going to see, regardless of how high this goes, you're going to see a pullback. And it's going to be bearish. And it's going to test this box again. Because it has to. You know why it has to? Because the market cannot go up here. Even if it's going on an uptrend, it has to break this box to be able to go on an uptrend. That's what we want to see too. We want to see it break this box, form a higher low, and then shoot. But whether it's going bearish, like the whole trend of the market is changing, or it's going up to the upside, it has to go back to this box. It has to. Because the market cannot just go straight up. So knowing that, you have to wait for that. That's why we do not trade indication. We don't trade in this zone. This is a no trade zone, and this candle was a no trade candle. Mind you, see I took a candle there. Was it a good candle? No, it wasn't. But I seen, okay, it was going up. I took it. Once I entered into that trade, even though it processed and hit me that day, I should not be in it. I secured profits and I left. Yeah, $70. Oh, Reg, you only made $70? Yeah, because I took a bad trade, but I made money. That's what I'm saying. You can make money in the market easily. A lot of people make money, but a lot of people lose money too, because if you take this, you're going to take any candle that breaks out of this box. A lot of times when it breaks out of this box, if you don't see the indication, then the correction, and then the indication, you're going to lose money because the market is just playing you. It's taking your money because it sees you're easy to fool. Realize the market strives off baiting people, because someone that's newer is going to see this 15-minute. oh, it's building green. It's got to be going up. And you jump in here and you be like, oh, I'm gonna take profit. I'm gonna take my stop loss here, and I'm gonna show you why this is lose. All right, because you think it's just gonna build here. This wick already shows it's testing this down. So why it might go up? You and I have been up profit for a little bit. Realistically, how much is this? This is not no $1,000. I ain't gonna lie. It's not $1,000 move. So yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I be realizing that do not be accurate because that was, bro. It was literally 50 cents that it moved. That was not that much of money. But it's going. What you realize is it wicks. Even these wicks are showing me it's testing these highs and it's going back down. So you might make like 200 or 70 or something like that, and then it's gonna reverse. So that's why we wait on the indication. But let's go back to the word. It says, and the whole congregation of the children of Israel assembled together at Silla, and I set up the tabernacle of the congregation there. And the land was subdued before them, and there remaineth among the children of Israel 7 tribes which had not yet received their inheritance. So 7 tribes have not received their inheritance. Already we've seen the first 5 have all shown compromise. Let's see. It says, and the land was subdued before them. And it says, and Joshua said unto the children of Israel, how long are ye slack to go possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers have given you? Give out from among you 3 men for each tribe, and I will send them, and they shall rise and go through the land, describing according to the inheritance of them. And they shall come to me again. And they shall divide it unto the 7 parts. Judah shall abide in the coast of the south, and the house of Joseph shall abide in their coast on the north. Actually, hold on. I wanna highlight this for my video for tomorrow. I mean, today. But it says, and bring the description hither to me, I may cast lots for you before the Lord our God. But the Levites have no part among you, for their priesthood of the Lord is their inheritance. And Gad and Reuben and half the tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance beyond Jordan on the east, which Moses the servant of the Lord gave them. And the men arose and went away. And Joshua charged them that went to describe the land, saying, go and walk through the land, describe it, and come again to me, that I may here cast lots for you before the Lord in Shiloh. And the men went and passed through the land, and described it by the cities into 7 parts in a book, and came again to Joshua the host at Shiloh. And Joshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before the Lord, and there Joshua divided the land unto the children of Israel according to their division. So we see Joshua is telling them, go spy out the land. I'm going to cast lots, and I'm going to divvy it up like that. And it says, and the lot of the tribe of the children of Benjamin came up according to their families, and the coast of their lot came forth between the children of Gad, Judah, and children of Joseph. And their border on the north side was from the Jordan, and the border went up. I appreciate you, Paramish, for subbing. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, what we see is that Joshua has them spy out the land, and then he's cast out lots. I think it's important to realize that he had them look at the lands. Why? Because God is so faithful. Because we know Joshua is not God. Don't get me there. But he's a leader who's spirit-led. So what I realize is that God will allow us to see our blessings in advance. Sometimes he will show it through pictures. Sometimes he will show it through people telling you and confirming it, or he'll show you through just moments where you ask for different signs and he might give you a sign in a way you didn't expect. But he will show you what he has in store for you multiple times before you get it. Before my YouTube channel blew up, God had told me, Red, just keep going. It's going to blow up. And I seen moments where some of my videos would go viral, but I would still be at the same, low number. But I was consistent. On my channel, I have 1.9 thousand videos. That is because I've been consistent, bro. I've uploaded for over a year straight. Not years straight of just uploading. It's I might have missed a video or 2 in between, but years of consistently uploading to the best of my ability. That is why I'm where I am today, because God decided to exalt me, but also because he had me be consistent. He was like, hey, Reg, this is going to take some time, but keep uploading. Keep going. And notice, it didn't even get to our take profit. So this indication is letting us know, wherever this stops, lets us know, okay, boom. Once it breaks out, it's at least going to the indication, because that's where it went last time. So that could be a level, like, already of TP. But what I'm TPing is, I'm going to target where it's been before. So where I see it get to this indication level, I'm going to probably trail my stop loss, because it shouldn't break under this indication. And look how much of a big move that is, because we're jumping in here. That's already cheese in our pocket, because just from here to there. Boom. That's already 1500. Now we're targeting this line, 1600. Now we're targeting this one, 2 bands. Then we go all the way to, hold on, don't move the stop loss. Then we go all the way to 2500. And I think it'll honestly be more, because right now it's still factoring in that if you really jumped in there. It shows like down here, but this amount be messed up. I ain't gonna lie. Don't really go by that. I'm just using that as a visual so you can see it. But yeah, like, that's what I realized. Like, bro, don't focus on the money. Don't focus on none of that. Like, bro, when you're trading, focus on the process. If you know your strategy is ICC with price action, know that okay, the price action in the market showing me is trying to make a higher high. Okay, if it's on an uptrend, what did it do? It's a higher high right here. The higher high is already established. Does that mean it's going to keep going up? No. To continue the trend, what does that have to do? Make a higher low. So it needs to break under this. That's why we need the continuation before, we need the correction before the continuation. Because if it doesn't ever come here, it won't move up. So that's why we need to see the continuation. Now the continuation, what I need that to do is I need it to stay above this low. So even if it pulls all the way back here, that's still a lower low. Even if it pulls right here, that's still a lower low. But it cannot, if it's keeping this bullish potential, it cannot break under here. Because if it does, what does that mean? The trend has switched now. Now we don't have an uptrend pattern. Realize the market moves in trends. So we want to jump in on the trend. We don't want to jump in on just one candle that's moving the way we want it to for a little bit. That's how you get like 70, maybe 200 profit, because the market does move. It has a lot of liquidity. So 200, you could make 270 pretty easy on the market. But to make like the big hits where you're making 1500, boom, 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 in a one trade, it's by knowing what you're looking at. So right now I'm seeing this indication. I'm not worried about it. I want to see that next candle form that continuation. So I probably won't even get into a trade until like 9 or 10. Really probably like 10. Because what I want to see is, I want to see that correction form this lower low. This higher low, and then I want to see it break out of here and ride it to that upside. So I'll probably be in a trade at 10 once it breaks here. So, yeah, bro. But I'm not going to try and rush and try to read another chapter before, what's it called? Before the market closes, because I'm ending at 8. I just want y'all to see why we don't force trades. Because I'm going to show you. I'm going to draw up the trends and we're going to break it down so it makes sense, hopefully. Because I realize like a lot of people want to do trading but they don't understand it. So I'm going to teach you as much as I can, like, and pour out what God has shown me. So, okay. What did we see the market do? We don't even want to look down. Let's just look. I don't want to overwhelm y'all. So we're just going to look right here. As of recently, this is like the last couple of days. This is starting at the 21st. So this is like Monday. Like Monday, Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. Oh, it's Wednesday. It literally says it, my fault. But Wednesday. So what happened? It made higher high, higher low. So it made that higher low. Then what happened? It breaks up. It makes a higher high. Then it makes a lower low. Alright? Then it went up. I would even say like maybe equal low. Because I ain't gonna lie, that's a little higher. So let's just say equal low. So we have a low, a high. A higher low, as far as this is a higher low because it's higher than this previous low. And then we have a higher high because it's higher than this high. And then we have equal low. Let's just say equal low for the sake of this drawing. Equal low. Then we have a higher high. So to continue this pattern, what do we need to see? We need to see a higher low. So meaning, and to continue this uptrend pattern, what I want to show you, this low could be here. Preferably we want to see it like break here. But it could also go all the way down to here. That's still technically a higher low. As long as it's above this lower value, that is still forming a higher low. So it could get this close and still form a higher low and still be valid for an uptrend. But what you're going to see is when it makes this, you're going to see it start building up here. And it would have to break this line again. Now, once we see this move, this is the move we're riding. Once it breaks out of here again, because now it did the correction, pulling back down, right, to either here or here, making that higher low, right? And now we're going to ride it up. We're not going to take it when it's still in this no trade zone right here because it's still between our lines. But when it breaks this buy, this is our buy entry. Why do I call this buy entry? Because if it breaks it the second time, it lets me know it's on a continuation. Because it had the indication, had the correction. Now it's going up. So now I would take my stop loss. I mean, what I'm going to do is when I see a break out of this, I'm jumping in. I'm confident because I know, okay, this is where it's going. I'm putting my my stop loss at the bottom of this. And I'm riding it I'm going to put my take profit all the way up here. Why am I putting it at this level? Because this is the max I've seen it be at. And how do I see that? Look at the 1 hour. It wicked all the way up here. So that's where it shows me it can reach to. It can test. But I have 3 levels of TP. Take profit, meaning, okay, I see it jump up to this first line. I'm going to move my stop loss now here. And what I like about the indication is the indication shows where the market's been. So once it breaks out of here, once it breaks here, I know, okay, it gets to this first line. I'm not going to draw my TP, my stop loss necessarily here. What I would put it at is this. So when it breaks, I would put it, once it breaks this TP, I'm bringing it to this indication. Because I know it would have to break this level to go down. And this is already securing me profits at this level. Now I'm going to watch it. Okay, boom. Maybe it has some consolidation, pullback, boom, boom, boom. It's consolidating, breaks this TP line. Now I'm bringing it to this first line of TP because that's where it has to break to. So now I'm securing more profits. This is how you consistently trail your stop loss at where it's reasonable to trail it. And that's where you know it's a fair value to trade it because it's been at these levels. How am I getting these levels? I'm looking at the higher time frame. It was here. It was here. It was here. It was here. This is where you're looking for your TP values. Where was it at previously? It was at this value. It was at this one. And this is on a 4 hour, so it's a little different. I'm going to show you on a 1 hour because that's where I mark my TPs. Realize. What do we see now? We see it's still building. But this is still an indication. Because notice how it's testing up. Okay, boom. It's wicking. Expect it to come in this box because realize the market cannot just constantly continue here. It can't. So we got to have some type of pullback. So that's what we're waiting for. And people be like, oh, Reggie, you could have hit your first TP. We don't need to hit it right now. Because I'd rather jump in it late, right? Because I know it's not going to go all the way up here. It's not. Bro, this is the highest it could possibly go before it has to come retest for the correction. But realize this is 1 hour time frame. So right now it might look that, but look, drop down. Okay, notice how it wicks up here. It's showing me it's trying to go down. Drop down. Like this is where you start realizing, like, dang, look how it's wicking. These lower, notice how it keeps testing these highs. When you drop down, you can see more of what the market is doing. You see it's trying to build up, okay. But look, these candles are getting a lot smaller, which shows me, okay, we might start building some bearish movement. So just because it's on an uptrend right now does not mean boom. And honestly, this brings me a lot of comfort right now because you remember this is my first line of TP. So where it shows me is it'll probably test this line and then have the correction, which shows me this is a strong level where I can take profit at once it goes here, because it's already been there with the indication. So that's what you got to look for. But I'm going to keep watching these charts. I got my alert set. But hopefully y'all learned something. I love you, but Jesus loves you more. And I'll be back.